10-minute warning for the South Dakota Born and Bred Show. 10-minute warning. Class 1 of the South Dakota Born and Bred Show, please be making your way to the check-in area. Class 1. Also, coming on deck, Class 2.
Oh! You popped right.
Ah.
Oh.
right, on the north ring, we're going to get our Born and Bred show started. So for Class 1, we need Cooper Bischoff, Jaden Cobb, Peyton Bischoff, and Trevor Johnson. And Class 2, that needs to be on deck as well, Zach Grossler, Macy Hayes, and Albright Sisters. Class 1 and Class 2, the AOB division.
sure am glad to be here again today and this time to evaluate some sheep, I guess. And we're going to start out here with the AOB vision. And I think the young man's brought us a ewe lamb here that really kind of nuts and bolts nuts and bolts kind of ewe-lamb. I think we like the added dimension she has to her forehead. We like how robust she is in her top shape, and she really maintains that advantage towards the back of her skeleton. Sure, we'd like to change her in the way she handles her hip and hind leg just a notch. That's maybe where we like the weather just a skosh better, but still one that's really, really opened up, got a lot of fresh muscle working down her back. The weather here in second is one that we like some things about him. We like the way he's made in his hip and rump. For me, this guy runs into trouble when we study him actually in the front half of his skeleton. He gets too flat in his forehead, too long in his blade, and too deep in his chest for it. If we could change those things, I think we'd have one that we'd get really excited about. The young man's brought us a ewe-lamb next that really she's one that just gets a bit more into script in her shape, a little bit narrower at the ground and at the top side of her skeleton. And I think if we could bust her apart a notch more, I think she's one that we'd sure appreciate maybe a notch more. And then in the balance of the class, the young man's brought us one that's really high performing, really opened up. I think we just need to change the way this one holds her skeleton together both on the move and really once we get her stopped. But a really good class. Why don't we give these kids a round of applause? Boy, there's only 3 sheep in this class, but there's tons of differences actually when we study these really all throughout the class. I mean, there's good in all of them, and there's things we'd like to change in all of them. It's the young lady's stuff of comparing weather that really just from a basic build standpoint and the extra width that he has to his skeleton and muscularity, that's really what propels him to the top in this situation. Surely there's some things we'd like to change about him. We'd like to make him a notch tidier about his chest floor and his sternum there, raise him up in his breast a notch, and maybe just make him look a notch more attractive from the side. But really when you study that guy from a 3/4 angle or directly behind, there's really not one in here that competes with him in terms of width and dimension, and still wrapping some muscle shape on there as well. It's a young ladies' weather next that I think really closely follows him in terms of just true, honest skeletal width and dimension. Sure, we'd like to change this guy in the way he's made in his forerib and his front end, make him more robust there and raise him up in his sternum, but still one we like quite a bit just from the added width and muscularity that one has. There's no doubt that the young man's weather there in third is one that we liked from the side. This guy's the most attractive, and the young man does an extremely good job showing it. Quite frankly, for me, this guy just needs to be expanded more up through his chest floor, forerib. Just make more up, and he just gets a notch too narrow. But one that still we like the things he offers from the side. But why don't we give these kids a round of applause for another nice set?
Placings from Class 1, first, Peyton Bischoff, second, Trevor Johnson, third, Jaden Cott, fourth, Cooper Bischoff. Class 2 placings, first, went to Albright Sisters, second, Macy Haas, and third, Zach Rosler. Currently in the ring is the AOB Division Champ selection. On deck needs to be Class 3, the Speckle.
Like I said in class, this AOB division didn't have as many participants, but there's a lot of variety. And there's good and bad in all these sheep and things we like a notch more in some versus others. But I think there's a few out here when we get our first and second in class out here. I think there's bits and pieces in all of these we like. There's some that put it together a notch more. That being said, I think there's a fairly logical champion, a reserve champion AOB. I'll go out and select them.
Champion AOB went to Albright Sisters, and reserve went to Peyton Bischoff. Coming in the ring now is Class 3 of the Speckle Division. On deck, I need Class 4, Southdown Division. Class 4, please be making your way to the check-in area.
some good representatives here in our speckled face division. The young man's brought us a Huron that we appreciate a lot of things about her, and most importantly, I think you see those attributes when you study her from the side, and when she's set in motion. We like the way she is dynamic in her rib cage. She's short-bladed, she's shallow, she's made right in her hook, in her hip and hind leg. The angles to her skeleton, and not to mention she's also one that's robust in her forerib and actually has a great deal of product when we study her down her back and out to her rump. The young man's brought us a really nice one there. The young man's got a weather here in second. We like the added muscularity and expressiveness that this guy offers. To me, he's one that just has a notch extra shape, and we also like the look he offers from the side in terms of being shallow from chine to chest and deeper from hook to flank. Those types of things are the balance things that we like to look for. And to me, if we were to change this guy a notch, I think we could just open him up just a notch more from front to rear. But one, we like the look he offers from the side and the added expressiveness he has as well. The young lady's brought us a UM next that I think is super stout, super opened up, has a lot of product to her. For me, the challenge comes when we view this gal from the side. She's one that gets too erect in her blade, too deep in her chest floor, and really one that actually has a notch more fat when you study her over her forerib as well. But a really nice one that fundamentally has a lot of product and a lot of width. In the balance of the class, we just run into a few there that just need to be wider and put more muscle on that skeleton. But why don't we give these kids a round of applause for a nice set of specs.
Placings in that division. Champion goes to Clancy Diebrich. Reserve was Jackson Rosler. Third, Delandry Callies. Fourth, Taya Chalmo. And fifth, Kyler Carlson. In the ring now is Class 4, the Southbound Division. On deck, Class 5 in the Natural Division. And Class 6, please be making your way to the check-in area. Class 6. We'd like to welcome our judge today, Ryan Morbid. Ryan attended Butler Community College and Iowa State University, where he was involved in livestock judging and was a member of the 2002 National Champion team at Butler. He is currently an account manager for United Animal Health and co-owner and operator of Joker Club Labs in Woodville, Iowa. A family endeavor of approximately 300 ewes. You will find him and his wife, Carrie, and sons Dayton and Brock showing sheep and goats all year round at various shows. He has a passion for livestock and helping youth, which has led him all across the country judging shows and assisting youth with their projects. We'd like to thank Ryan for joining us today. If you could all give him a round of applause, we greatly appreciate him.
got pretty good quality here in our class of Southdowns. Young ladies brought us a ewe-lamb that really we just like the basic build she has. She's one that really is expressive when we study her down her top, and still one that's still made good in her skeleton when we study her on the move, when we study the angle to her blade, and really when we study her underline. Sure, we'd like to make her a notch deeper in her flank, but really truly she's one that's built to be a shorter bladed one that's actually a notch shallower too. We like a lot of things about her. Young lady's got a ewe-lamb that's very, very similar here next in class. We like a lot of things about her in terms of her skeletal build and the look she has from the side. Really, to me, she's one that just needs to be a notch more expressive, especially when we study her out of her hip and rump, but one that's really good in her own right. The brother coming out next is one that really we like the look he offers from the side in terms of being progressively deeper from front to rear, and we like the way he distributes that muscle over his skeleton. The biggest thing on this guy is although he has some muscle mass, we just need to make him more shapely. He's just a bit indescript, and that's a challenge for Southdowns, I realize, but to make this one a notch shapelier, I think would do him a lot of good. As we come down here into the balance of the class, really what we have is we've got a few animals that really, they have some basic build things that we like. We just need to put more lean muscle shape on them, maybe change the way they handle their hip and hind leg, or their blade and their front leg, but a really good set of downs. Why don't we give these kids a round of applause?
Placings in the Southdown Division. Champion goes to Taya Chalma. Reserve to Rhea Chalma. Third, Piper Riegert. Fourth, Macy Haas. Fifth, Shay Bahowski. Sixth, Carter Ross. In the ring now is Class 5 of the Natural Division. In the check-in area needs to be Class 6 of the Natural Division, and making your way to the check-in area, Class 7. We'd like to again welcome you to the 2019 South Dakota Born and Bred Club Lamb Show. We'd like to recognize our breeder members. Albright Club Lambs, AWTR Club Lambs, Bagalga Livestock, Fairley Farms, Firesteel Showstock, Flint Livestock, Hostler Farms, L4L Sheep Company, Little Cattle and Lamb, Miller Farms of South Dakota, Shield Livestock, Vanderlyn Farms, Wilson Sheep Company, and Work Farms.
We've really got a nice set of natural colors here to evaluate. The young man's brought us a ewe-lamb here that I'm not gonna lie, to me, I like a lot of things about her. When I talked about in some of those other classes, the way I want to make them in their forerib, in their blade, in their chest floor. Boy, if you look at her from the side, she's all those things. She's all those things, and she's actually got some oomph to her forehead. When you study her right behind her blade, she's actually robust in her shape, got some curvature there. And don't take it for granted, she's actually still one that actually has a lot of muscle too. When you actually study her down her top and out through her rump, she probably has a class advantage in terms of shapeliness and even volume of muscle. Sure, we'd like to change maybe just a few things about her and just the way she wants to handle her spine, maybe when we set her out on the go. But that's been critical of one that we really dig for a lot of things, and a lot of things that she offers from the side, and the extra muscularity that she has as well. A lot of the same attributes we find here in our second place ewe-lamb. She's one that doesn't necessarily want to cooperate with the young man, but the same kinds of things. Really shallow in her chest floor, really opened up in her forehead, short-bladed, and still has quite a bit of product when we study her down her back. And this one in particular, we also like the posture she has to her hip and hind leg. For me, this one's got to get out and go a notch more. We got to relax the angle to her blade and make her have a notch more reach off of her front leg, and give her a notch more pin really to make her go ahead and compete with our class winner, but a really, really good one there in second as well. Young ladies brought us one here in third. This ewe-lamb's just kind of a nuts and bolts one. We like the added width and dimension she has, both at the ground and to the top side of her skeleton. For me, there's two areas on this gal. She got in a class with two really, really freaky, shallow, really up-fronted ones. For me, that's where we'd have to change this one, make her a notch shallower in her chest floor. And for me in particular, if we can make her square off her hip and hind leg, I think she's one that goes ahead and plays with those two ewe-lambs that precede her. But a really good one in third. As we get down here into the balance of the class, the kids at the far end of the arena, for me, it's really just little nitpicky things. We need to change the way they're made in their front end, change the angles to their skeleton, maybe out both sides, and still lay as much product on there as possible. Well, why don't we give these kids a round of applause for a nice set of naturals?
First place goes to Andrew Johnson with an AWTR. Second, Cooper Bischoff with an AWTR. Third, Charlie Holt with a Wirt. Fourth, Allie Westra with a Wirt. Fifth, Brylan Murphy with a Bischoff. Sixth, Tice Bruns with an L4L. Seventh, Reagan Bischoff with an L4L. In the ring now, Class 6 of the National Division. Class 7, you should be in the check-in area. Class 7 of the National Division should be in the check-in area. We need Rena Johnson and Trevor Johnson from Class 7 to please make your way to the check-in area. Johnson's in Class 7 to the check-in area.
There's really some give and take here on the top pair of this class. These two ULAMs, really there's good in both of them. And there's talking points in both of them, and there's little nitpicky things I'd like to change in both of them as well. To me, it's not just the one that shows herself off today, but really just when I break it down and think about fundamentals and you study them on the move, to me this is one that truly, she's honestly one that probably looks better on the move than she does propped up, because propped up she wants to get up in her spine and go down in her front end just a notch more. I think if we could just hold that ULAM and make her relax in her spine, I think it's one that we might actually even appreciate that look a notch more. But for me, the biggest difference, we like the way this one's made in her blade. We like how shallow she is in her chest floor. Sure, we'd like to drop her down just a notch more in her flank. But the big distinct difference is we really like that one's hip and hind leg. Not to take anything away from the darker colored ULAM here in second. She doesn't want to do it for the young lady today. She says, it's hot, I'm done. But We also like this one in the way she's made in terms of her chest floor and her rib cage. She's got good things to offer there. She's still expanded in her skeleton, has quite a bit of muscle shape working down her top. Biggest thing on this one is really when we set her in motion. She wants to get a notch extra set to her hock and wants to drop her pins a notch more. If we could change those things, I think we'd have one that could go ahead and rival our class winner. The ewe lamb here coming out next is one we like the added shapeliness and muscularity. She drives down her back and out through her rump. I think for this gal, I think we just need to relax her off both ends of her skeleton just a notch more and drop her down in her flank to make her balance out from the side, but a really good one there. And then the kids on the far end of the arena, I think just little nitpicky things we're just going to change, but the name of the game is making them shallow-chested, short-bladed, really good from the side and lay as much muscle on them. That's what fits me pretty good, but a good set of sheep here in the natural color class. Why don't we give these kids a round of applause?
Placings in Class 6, first, Sydney Talam, second, Kylie Bear, third, Kyler Carlson with the Bagoka, fourth, Bentley Holt with the Albright, fifth, Jessica Cott with the Flint, sixth, Kaden Lee with the L for L, seventh, Kyla Pesky with the Bagoka. In the ring now is Class 7 of the Natural Division. Following the selection of this class, we will move right into Champion and Reserve for the Natural Division. Again, we've got a class winner here that the young ladies brought us that this UM kind of fits the bill in terms of what we've talked about in terms of front end assembly and those types of things being right in their chest floor, short bladed, move off a bit like a cat. She's still one that actually like from the
the angle she has to her hip and hind leg as well. She offers a really good aesthetic look from the side, and she's also one that lays a lot of product down that skeleton too. A really good solid one here to be our class winner. Young ladies, darker colored, whether you're coming out next, is what we like. The basic build this guy has. We like the ruggedness he has. Really, quite truly, I honestly prefer this one's rump structure a notch more. I think he's a notch more expanded in his pin and a notch shapelier all throughout his rump. But for me, it's the front half of his skeleton, really where the ewe-lamb beats him. If we can make this guy a notch shallower, a notch shorter bladed, and make him more robust in his rib cage right behind his blade, I think he's one that he could play ball if we do those things. The young man's brought us the ewe-lamb next. I think really when we like just the muscularity she has working down her back. She's got some width to her chest. She's got some umph to her skeleton. I think for this gal, the biggest thing is we just need to change the way she operates her front leg and her rear leg at the same time. When we set her in motion, she gets a notch straight and wants to drop her neck into her shoulder just a notch. But a really, really nice one. We like the muscularity and the width that she offers. As we get to the three kiddos here in the balance of the class, the biggest thing is we just need to make these guys a notch more expressive in their shape. We need to change the look and balance they have from the side, but some good doing sheep here at the end. But why don't we give these kids a round of applause for a nice group of naturals.
Natural division, class 7. First place was Raina Johnson with an AWTR. Second, Jayla Murphy with an AWTR. Third, Colton Malachek with a wort. Fourth, Trevor Johnson with a mandolin. Fifth, Ashton Ross with a wort. And sixth, Bailey Schultzfelder with a wort. In the ring now is natural division selection. Cooper Bischoff, if you'd like to be in the natural selection here, bring your lamb out. Cooper Bischoff. again recognize our breeders, Albright Club Lambs, AWTR Club Lambs, Bagalka Livestock, Fairley Farms, Fire Steel Show Stock, Flint Livestock, Hostler Farms, El Corral Sheep Company, Little Cattle and Lamb, Miller Farms of South Dakota, Shield Livestock, Vanderlyn Farms, Wilson Sheep Company, and Word Farms.
I think we've had some really good representatives here for our natural color convention, and honestly, all these six head, and especially our three class winners, are ones that suit me really well, and they have things that I think are really important. Like, you know what we talked about, our lightweight class winner, and this is one that, boy, she combines a lot of things that are really hard to do in terms of the integrity she has to her front end, the look she offers from the side, and still probably a ton of lean muscle shape down her back and out through her rump. She's one I like quite a bit. We talked about the Huron out of the second class. She's one we like the look she offers from the side, and we like the things that she does in terms of both her rear leg assembly and hip assembly, and the way she gets around the ring. She's really, really good in her movement there. We'd like to change her just a little bit in the way she's made in her flank, and really from hook all the way to flank. I think if we could just expand her a notch more, she's one that would balance up a notch neater from the side as well. And then we've got our heavyweight here, one that's ultra massive, ultra opened up, really robust in her form, and still one that maintains some collectedness to her underline. She gets progressively deeper when we study her from front to rear. So some really good ones out here. I'll go out and shake some hands of our champion and reserve champion natural.
And reserve goes to Raina Johnson with an AWTR. In the ring now is Class 8 of the Hampshire Division. On deck, we need Class 9 of the Ham and Class 10, please.
is mostly when we think about maturity kind of all throughout this type of hand class. And there's no doubt in my mind that the one we're going to use to win is most certainly the most mature of any of the sheep out here. But this is one that still most effectively combines width and power and mass and shapeliness and still an aesthetically pleasing package. We like the look this guy offers when we set him in motion, and we like how shallow he is from the side in terms of his chest floor and how short-bladed he is. Sure, we'd like to maybe make him a notch taller fronted, but still one that does a lot of fundamentals really, really well. Big man's got a Huron hip coming out next that really is kind of a contrast. She as well as one that we like for her front end assembly, the way she's made in her blade, full red chest floor, neck shoulder attachment, and really carries quite a bit of muscularity when we study her down her top and out to her front. The biggest thing on this gal is we just need to make her wider to compete with that class winner, especially they're right behind her blade and her forehead, and especially out of her pin. If we can make her much wider there, she'd give the weather that wins the class and run for his money. The weather coming out next is one really kind of a nuts and bolts kind of weather, just wide and opened up and has some muscle really from front to rear. We especially like this one in the way he effectively combines shape and dimension to his rump. But that right there is what we need to change on this guy. We need to change the way he handles the 69 night. We need to change the way he operates his front tube and make him a notch shallower in his chest for it. I think he's one we can get excited about. The Huron coming out next is one that super expressive when we study her right out of her blade all the way back to her pin. She's got a greenwood muscle running down her back, and still has tons of muscle when we study her stifle, hip, and thigh. But she's one, her underline just runs her own way, and she gets a notch too straight off both ends. If we could do that or change those things, I think we would have one we'd get really, really excited about. And really, we come down to the balance in the class, just little things we need to change, but more than anything, we just need to make them open up more in their skeleton and put more muscle on there. But why don't we give these kids a round of applause for a nice set of hands?
Coming in the ring now is Class 9 of the Hampshire Division. Placing in Class 8. First place goes to Macy Baldwin of AWTR. Second, Chase Runs with the shield. Third, Easton Bischoff with an L4L. Fourth, Camry Holt with an Albright. Fifth, Parker Bischoff with an L4L. Sixth, Landon Bird with a Hostler. Seventh, Cody Gehring with a Little. Eighth, Isaac Godin with a Work. And ninth, Lily Godin with an AWTR.
we've got one here. The young ladies brought us in this Hampshire class, one that I think pretty handily wins this class. There's a lot of superlatives we could use, but just in terms of basic build, aesthetically pleasing from the side and still wrapping a lot of muscle and some ruggedness at the same time. That's a leather that we really, really like and appreciate from a lot of different aspects. A really good one there to win. Young man's got one here in second that, to be honest with you, this one, the more you look at him, honestly, the more he grows on me. I think this one's basic build is really good. His skeleton's really good on both ends, and he's still one that's opened up from front to rear, fairly dimensional. For me, this guy, I think if we were to change him a little bit, we just need to make him a notch truer in the way he plants his hog down or his back leg down. If we make him a notch truer there, I think if we cleaned up the transition there from leg to body, if we could make that a little less obnoxious, I think we could get a better read on that guy as well too. But a really nice one there in second. The ewe here next is one we like for the width and added muscle and dimension she's got. For me, it's the way this one operates, her back to and her front end. If we had changed the angle to her hog, changed the way she handles her pasture, and maybe make her a notch bigger in her pin, I think she's one that we get quite a bit more excited about, but a really good solid one there in third. As we come down here to the four youngsters on the far end of the arena, for me it's just balance things from the side. We want them to be shallower from chine to chest and deeper from hook to flank, and we still want them to operate both ends of their skeleton really good when we set them in motion, and like I said before, put a lot of muscle on there too. But why don't we give these kids a round of applause for another nice set of hands.
Champion or reserve of any previous division, would you please make your way to the backdrop area where Focus Marketing Group is available to take your photo? One more time, we want to welcome Ryan here. Ryan Morgan attended Butler Community College and Iowa State University, where he was involved in livestock judging and was a member of the 2002 National Champion team at Butler. He is currently an account manager for United Animal Health and co-owner and operator of Roper Floodlands in Whitville, Iowa, a family endeavor of approximately 300 ewes. You will find him, as well as his wife Carrie and sons Dayton and Brock, showing sheep and goats all year round at various shows. He has a passion for livestock and helping youth, which has led him all across the country judging shows and assisting youth in their projects. We greatly appreciate him traveling here to be with us tonight.
think we've got a ULAM here to start this class that I think really propels her way to the top pretty handily. I think this is one when you study her actually from a lot of different angles, she's one that definitely doesn't disappoint. She's ultra attractive, always center in motion, really high in her neck set, and still one that operates both ends of her skeleton really well, all while being wide at the ground, wide at the top side of her skeleton, and laying an extreme amount of muscle shape down her back, and especially out through this one's rump. When you study the way the shape she has to her thigh and stifle and leg, I think this is one that's really, really unique. We like a lot of things about her. The ULAM here coming out next is one we like really from the front half of this one's skeleton. She really rivals our class winner in terms of the way she's made in her forearm and her chest floor. The added rack shape she has when we study coming right out of her blade. For me, it's the differences in the back side of their skeleton. This one needs to be a notch more robust in terms of her pin shape and add more added shape up down through her stifle and thigh and leg to really compete with our class winner, but a really good solid one here in second. Young man's brought a weather here next in class. We like the basic build of this one. Really good skeleton. His underline really runs the right way. For me, this guy just gets a notch too in the script when we study him down his back and out through his rump. We just need to make his muscles bigger and more shapely. And that one gets along quite a bit further if we do that. Contrast to the young lady's brought us a ULAM next here. This one's got a lot of shape when we study down her back and out through her rump. We just need to change the way this one's made in her underline, make her shallower through her chest floor, drop her flank down, and maybe make her a notch taller fronted and longer cannon, just to strengthen out, or just to lengthen out her maturity pattern just a notch, but a really good one she's brought us there. As we come down to the trio here in the end of the class, I think we have some sheep we just need to make wider in their skeleton and put more shapely muscle down their back and up through their rump, but a really good class. Why don't we give these kids a round of applause?
live streamed by the Huron. So if you have anybody at home that's unable to attend or unwilling to attend because of the heat, they can head on over to www.farmforum.net/live and catch all the action for this weekend.
This is really probably the most challenging pair we've had at the top end of a class, and really two individuals here that I like in an extreme amount. Really, it's the young lady's Yulin that really, the main thing she does different in contrast to the Yulin in second, it's the shapes and width she has to her hip and rump. This one's bolder in her pin and carries more shape out to her stifle, thigh, and leg. All while doing all those attractiveness things good from the side in terms of underline placement. When we set them in motion, she's one that cants off of both ends of her skeleton and has quite a bit of muscle. We study her down her back too. Like I said, it's the biggest thing. The biggest thing where we separate these ones is where the way this one's made from the hooks back. The young man's brought us one here in second that I truly love this one in terms of front end assembly. It's hard to make them like this. It's hard to make them this jammed up in their chest floor, that shallow and that short bladed, and still get progressively deeper when we study them from front to rear. And this one's still one that's dynamic in her rib cage, has a great bit of product when we study her down her back. To me, like I said, she gets too flat when we study in her stifle and thigh and leg shape, and we need to make her a notch bigger pin, and then we'd have one that we would get super excited about. Young man's brought us one here next. Another one that I truly love from the way this one's built in her front end, her chest floor, her neck shoulder attachment. All those things are really good. And this one's got a lot of product to go with it. Young man, the only place we really need to change this gal is her hip and hind leg. She's got too much set to her hump. If we could square that up and maybe make her a notch bigger pin, I think we'd have one that we'd get really excited about. As we get down here into the balance of the class, the kids on the far end of the arena, really what we run into is some kids that just don't operate the other side of their skeleton quite as well when we set them on the go, and ones that we might need to make a notch wider and put more muscle shape on there. But give these kids a round of applause for another nice set.
Class 12 in the check-in area, class 13 and class 14 of the Hampshire Division. Placings from class 10 were as follows: Andrea Miller with the Fairleigh. Second, Ava Rummel with the Miller. Third, Wyatt Anderson with an AWTR. Fourth, Taisley Mahalik with the Shield. Fifth, Shay Mahovsky with the Shield. Sixth, Gage Riker with the Fairleigh. Seventh, Preston Mateus with the Wilson. Placings in class 11. First place, Heidi Mortmanson with the Bagalka. Second, Clancy Diebrich with the Vanderlyn. Third, Maisie Baldwin with an AWTR. Fourth, Landry Police with the Albright. Fifth, Bryn Rycraft with an Albright. Sixth, Sammy Nordman with the Fairleigh. Seventh, J.D. Matthias with the Fairleigh. And eighth, Andrea Miller with the Fairleigh.
Got a little variation all the way through this class, but the young lady's brought us a ULAM here that she's going to want to cooperate with her the best. But I think if we try to stop pulling on her head quite so much, try to stop pulling on the back of her head, I think she'll probably get a lot more happy with you and work with you much better. But nevertheless, she's one we like a lot for all those things we talk about in terms of front end assembly, shallowness, really robust in her rib cage and really opened up and really carries a great deal of product from her blade all the way back to her pin set and on down to her hawk nearly. A really nice one there. Surely we'd like to go ahead and make her maybe a notch collar fronted, maybe walk out with a notch more ease and flexibility, but still one that's really, really nice. The young ladies brought us a ULAM here in second, one that is truly opened up and robust. When we study her at the ground, when we study her at the base of her chest, and really in her rib cage, she is really cracked apart, and she has a great deal of mass and product rolling down her back and out to her pin. The biggest thing on this gal is we just need to change the way her underline runs. If we could make her deeper in her flank and shallower in her chest and actually make her a notch deeper in the way she carries that shape down her leg, I think she's one that would get really, really good. The one coming out next is one we like kind of the basic build of this guy. He's kind of opened up particularly, especially from his last trip back. This one's fairly dimensional and actually wraps quite a bit of shape on his skeleton. I think for this guy, it's the bells and whistles and the way he operates both ends of his skeleton. We could change those. I think we'd have one that we'd like a notch more. The young lady's got a weather next in class. This guy's one that actually has a lot of good to him. The biggest thing is this guy just gets too compressed and too tight there right in his heart, really all the way around his body. If we could change that, I think he's one we'd like a notch better. And then we run into a duo of sheep that just need to be pulled apart their skeleton and have more muscle shape on it. But a really good class. Why don't we give these kiddos a round of applause? not going to lie, we couldn't have a duo of sheep here on the top side of this class that could be any more different in terms of maturity and fleshiness and presentation. There's no doubt there's some disparity there. It's the young lady's weather that really wins this class because truly I believe this one is the harder one to build. And when she gets him propped up from the side, and really when you study this guy in motion, the fundamentals of this one's skeleton and the way he's constructed, it is really, really good. He operates both ends extremely well. He's high at the base of his chest. He's high at the point of his shoulder, and actually is really progressive when we study his shape. He doesn't have an ounce of fat on him. I'm not gonna lie, he doesn't. But still manages to push a lot of shape down his back. Has some muscle right there in his indicator and his jump and in his forearm, and still actually has plenty of shape to his run. Really, I think that's where this guy. He's a genuine presented one that really has a ton of quality to him. Not to take anything away from the young man's unit coming up next. Honestly, this is one that hits you really hard, just from a width and product and mass standpoint. And she's one that definitely has that. She's the opposite of that one. This one's pretty fleshy. She's pretty fleshy, and I'm not dogging on her because she's got a little extra white meat on her, but at the same time, she's one, when you study underneath that, she's a notch longer in her blade, she's a notch deeper in her chest floor in relation to her flank. And I think if we had changed the way she gets out and moves in her neck and shoulder attachment, I think that's one that is really, really good if we could change those few things about her. The same goes for the UM in third. We like the added muscularity this one's got, the added width that she's got. For me, it's the way she operates both ends of her skeleton when we set her in motion. And really, truly, how robust is she, right? When we study her right in her elbow pocket there, right in her forearm, I think if we just made her more expanded, right where you can see that flank exposed, I think she's one we'd like a lot better, and change the way she operates both ends of her skeleton. I think she's one we could get into a notch more. And then we've got a forehead here on the far end of the arena. I think with these ones, we just need to free them up with their skeleton and put more muscle shape on them. But a really good class. Why don't we give these kids a round of applause?
To remind everyone that there is a dance over at the Dakota land stage right over to the right of us, and it starts at 8 p.m. tonight, sponsored by the South Dakota Born and Bred, or it's not South Dakota Bred, South Dakota Silver Spotlight.
got differences here again in this top duo of sheep. It's the young lady's weather that she's brought today. To me, he's the one that puts the most good together. In terms of structural integrity, the way we want them to distribute their weight across their skeleton, and still one that is really dimensional and opened up at the ground and the top side of the skeleton, and lays plenty of product on it. That's really kind of where he wins this for me, and really his ease of movement as he walks around the ring as well. There is no doubt that the young lady's ewe lamb coming out next is one that's super attractive. She's super attractive from the side, and she's one that's ultra shapely when we set her down her back and out through a run. To me, the challenge is this one gets a notch too straight for me, especially off of her front end and really both ends of her skeleton. If we could make her have a notch more reach and flexibility, we'd like her a notch better there. And still, if we could proportion her weight a notch different in her underline, maybe make her a notch deeper in terms of her flank in relation to her chest, I think she's one we could dig a notch more if we do that as well. The same goes for the ewe lamb here in third. It's the same story. If we could make her distribute her weight a notch different, more towards the back end of her skeleton, I think we'd have one that would get a notch more intriguing. But one we like for the muscularity and the squareness to her hip and hind leg, those types of things. As we come down here to the remaining five on the far end of the arena, they're ones that mostly we just need to change the way they operate both ends of their skeleton and put more lean muscle on there. And we would have some that we could get quite a bit more excited about. But why don't we give these kids a round of applause? think we finished off here with the best look of this one. She's not only one that props up pretty well, but really when you set this gal on the go, she's one that's extremely, extremely good off both ends of her skeleton, wide at the ground, wide up high, and lays a lot of muscle shape down there, down her back and out through her rump as well. And still one that offers a really unique look in terms of her chest floor and the way she's made in her rib cage and her forehead. That one there is really good. The Huron coming out next is one that's really highly presented, looks really good. To be honest with you, she's got a little extra ball. In all seriousness, she's probably not as genuine in her shape. She's a bit more indescript when we study her down her top, especially coming right out of her blade. She's a bit more indescript in her back shape, but boy, when the young man gets her drove, she's one that really comes together really well. We like the dynamic rib cage she's got. We like how wide she is. We just need a notch more real muscle shape on there, and really need to free her up in the way she handles her front end on the move as well. The same goes for the one coming out next. This is one that's truly dimensional, and we like how short-bladed she is, how shallow she is, and there's probably not one in this class that comes out of her rack and top with that much turn and expression. This one's really, really good there. The biggest thing on this one is we just need to free her up in her skeleton, make her more flexible off both ends and in her spine at the same time. And I think that one there we could really, really do. The young lady's got a leather coming out next that's super expressive, especially from his blade to his last rib, and then back in the rear end of his skeleton as well, out through his rump. The biggest thing on this guy is he just gets too tight and restricted when we study him from hook to flank, and the way he fills in his loin. If we could change those things about him, I think he's one that gets quite a bit better as well. As we come down here in the balance of the class, really we run into some sheep that just need to be wider off both ends of their skeleton, move a notch freer and more flexible, and at the same time wrap as much muscle on there as possible. Why don't give these kids a round of applause?
Division, we first and second place class class winners of the Hampshire Division to please make their way to the check-in area. First and second place of the Hampshire Divisions, please be in the check-in area.
We've got a duo of sheep here on the top of this class that are very, very good and very, very intriguing. To me, it's the young man's brother that really, this one is unique and hard to build in the way he puts his chest together and his underline, the elegance he has from the side when you set this guy on the go. He's really, really good and fluid in his movement. And all that while combining tons of back shape and shape out of this one's rump. I think that one there is scary good. The young lady's got one coming out next. Honestly, not to discount this one or downplay him too much because he's really, really wide and open up in his skeleton. Really good off fins and one that is truly, really opened up as well. To be honest with you, the biggest thing that separates this one from our class winners, this one just gets a notch longer, bladed, a notch deeper at the base of his chest, but that's really being critical of one that is really, really good in a lot of different areas. Likewise, we've got another one here next that really has kind of just got stuck in a bad class, really one that has quite a bit of merit, doesn't want to cooperate for the young lady, but one that we like his basic build, we like his ruggedness in the ground, we like the muscularity he has to his top. This guy, if we can, we just need to change the way he's made in his hip and hind leg, change his neck set a notch, and I think he's one that we could really get on board with. And really, as we come down here to the two sheep at the far end of the ring, we just need to change the way these guys move off both ends of their skeleton, and then we can make them a notch higher in class. But a really good class. Why don't we give these kids a round of applause?
Placings in Class 16, first, Taylor Bradley with the Miller, second, Albright Scissors with the Fairley, third, Heidi Gorsenson with an AWTR, fourth, Andrew Johnson with an AWTR, Macy Haas was fifth with a Vigalka. In the ring now is our Hampshire Division selection. We'd like to again recognize our sponsors that, along with our breeders, help support this show. JR Feeds, Dakota Land Feeds, Biozyme, Umbarker Show Feeds, and Cody Miller Show Feeds, Nielsen Feeds, First National Bank, and Spot On Printing. Ava Rummel, Class 12 winner. If you want to be in the selection of Grand Reserve, you need to be in the ring right now. Ava Rummel with your 116-pound lamb. We also need the second place for Class 10, Ava Rummel.
can see it. Some classes were deeper than others, and we found merit in all these sheep, and they rose to the top for their respective reasons. And I think there's a few out here that are particularly harder to build than others, and I guess me as a breeder, to be honest with you, those ones get the benefit of the doubt. Whether you like it or not, those ones get the benefit of the doubt because I know how hard it is to make ones that are really good body, really short-bladed, shallow, really good looking from the side, sound, big-legged, and have tons of muscle. Those are really hard things to put together. And I think we've got a couple out here that do it really well. To some degree or another, I think you guys saw the ones that are probably my particular favorites. There's some of the sheep that probably aren't real happy with the heat as well. So some of these sheep kind of deteriorate kind of the longer they're out here. But that being said, I'll go out and shake some hands and be quiet now, and we'll select a champion or reserve champion Hampshire. Division. This is our last division. Following this division, we will run our Supreme Champion overall breeds. So if you are selecting brand or reserve from any previous division, you will be in the ring at that time. lots of differences in this class. We land on a U-lane that really puts a lot together in terms of a look from the side and combining that with skeletal width and a lot of shape down her top and out through her rump. Surely we'd like to go ahead and relax this gal off both sides of her skeleton. She's too straight off her front end and her back end, but she's one that still does a lot of things well. We still like a lot of things about this one. The UM in second contrast, she's one that actually kind of gets around the ring pretty good and has some teeth, especially to her hind leg. But really one that we sacrifice too much in terms of total width and conduct and shapeliness that goes along with it. If we could change that and actually make this one, in terms of muscle strength, if we could change that and if we could actually make this one bigger pin and wrap more shape on her rump as well and make her just a notch wider, I think she's one that we can get on board with. The one coming out next is one that we like the extension. This one's got the added shapeliness. This one gets a notch deeper in her chest fork, has too much set to her hock. And if we change those things in the way she balances from the side, I think she's one we could also like quite a bit more. The young man's brought us one that, no doubt, this one's the stoutest muscled, especially in relation to his frame size. He's got lots of shapes working down his back and out through his rump. This one, unfortunately, is also a notch earlier maturing. He's a notch too straight off both ends of his skeleton and doesn't have a lot of market weight flexibility, but a really nice one in terms of right now having a lot of muscle. And then we come down to two on the far end of the arena, ones that just need to be opened up in their skeleton and have more lean muscle shape. But why don't we give these kids a round of applause? There's no doubt we've got a duo of Ulians that rise to the top of this class pretty handily. It's the young man here to my left that he's brought us a Ulian that I think we like a lot of things about her. And really, it's the integrity she has when we cut this one loose. It's not even on the move and the look she offers from the side. All that while combining an extra shot of width and mass and dimension and shapeliness down her top and up through her rump. She's a pretty nice, solid one. There's no doubt that the ewe here in second is really opened up in her chest fork, robust in her rib cage, and has a lot of shape working on her. For me, this one needs to transition better from her blade to her forerib, both at the top side of her skeleton and on the side. And she's one that we could really name to do that, but one that's really, really good from a lot of different standpoints. The other is that next that we like the length and extension and shapeliness that this one has. To me, to make this one balance out a notch more, we just need to make this one wider at the ground and wider up high, all while maintaining that shape, but a really attractive one there next in class. And then we run into two sheep here in the balance. We just need to pull these guys apart from front to rear and put more shape on them. But a really good class. Why don't we give these kids a round of applause?
Placings in class 17. First, Sarah Kroger with a Wilson. Second, Jayla Murphy with an AWTR. Third, Reagan Bischoff with an Alpharell. Fourth, Quincy Berg with a Hostler. Fifth, Logan Rapp with the Little. And sixth, Isaac Bowden with the Worst. Placings in class 18. First, Gage Reichert with the Fairleigh. Second, Tanner Peterson with the Wilson. Third, Peyton Rowe with the Magauga. Fourth, Preston Mateus with the Wilson, and fifth, Billy Bowden with the Wirt. In the ring now is class 19 in the crossbred division. We need class 20 and 21 to be in the check-in area. Class 20 and 21 to the check-in area. Our judge tonight is Ryan Moorfed. Ryan attended Butler Community College and Iowa State University, where he was involved in livestock judging and was a member of the 2002 national champion team at Butler. He is currently an account manager for United Animal Health and co-owner and operator of Joker Club Lands in Louisville, Iowa, a family endeavor of approximately 300 ewes. You will find him, as well as his wife Carrie and son Stacey Brock, showing sheep and goats all year round at various shows. He has a passion for livestock and helping youth, which has led him all across the country judging shows and assisting youth with their projects.
Got a weather here to start this class one that really, like I said before, kind of a nuts and bolts kind of sheep. She's wide at the ground, wide up high, and it still lays a decent amount of shape on that skeleton. Really, and this one is truly one that we like the ease he has off both ends of his skeleton. Sure, we'd like to change him just a notch in the way he ties his blade into his forehead and spine there, but one that's expanded, especially out of his rump, wide to the ground, wide up high, and has some shape and some good fundamental traits about him. Gentleman in front of some UM next that is one that, when he gets her propped up, is really attractive from the side. She's one that is really elegant. Quite frankly, this one just gets a notch too straight off both ends for me, and we need to make her wider, both at the ground and up high, and I think she's one that we could get into quite a bit more if we do that. And then we run into a trio of sheep. Honestly, we just need to make these guys a notch wider. They put more muscle shape on them. Maybe free them up in their spine or change the way they travel off both ends of their skeleton. And I think they're ones that we could get into quite a bit more. But give these kids a round of applause for a nice set of crosses. think we've got one year to start this class off that pretty well overwhelms this class, honestly. When you study this gal both in motion and once he gets her propped up a notch more, she's one that she's really, really good, folks. She's good in her underline, she's good in her skeleton, she's got plenty of muscle to her. That one there I think is pretty special. If we're to get really, really picky on her, I think if we can make her a notch bigger in her pin and a notch more genuine there, and maybe make her actually a notch less level. She's almost inverted a notch, but that's being critical of one that's really, really good. The young man's brought us one here in second that is really kind of just a nuts and bolts kind of ewe as well. One that's opened up in her rib cage, has some shallowness to her chest forward, some shortness to her plate. It actually works a great deal of shape down her rack. That doesn't quite play out all the way through her loin and out through her rump. And those are the reasons why she's second. If we could change those, I think she'd be more competitive. Big lady's got a weather here next that she does an awfully nice job of showing him and gets as much out of him as I think she possibly can. And we like the ruggedness and we like the extension that this guy has. Quite frankly, he just gets too flat in his forward, too narrow at the ground, too narrow up high. We can expand him in his skeleton and make more true muscle shape on him. I think he's one we like a lot better. And then we run into four here at the far end of the arena. These ones, we just need to change the way they travel off both ends and maybe put more muscle on them and make them wider to like them a notch more. But give these kids a round of applause for another nice set of sheep.
Now is class 21 in the crossbred division. On deck, we need class 22 and class 23. Please be making your way to the makeup area. For all your parents sitting ringside, we were lucky enough to have Focus Marketing Group in the ring with us tonight. So if you would be so kind to check them out online, they've got candid and backdrop photos.
to start this class. And I can talk about a lot of different things on this guy, and he has a lot of class advantages, but in terms of the things I talked about in the last drive, about being hard to put together, about making him shallow-chested, short-bladed, good-looking from the side, big-footed, big-muscled all the way throughout, and still have some ease of movement to their skeleton. This guy does it pretty well. There's a pretty good one. The young man's got a winner there in the second, one that really has some intriguing pieces about him. We like the front-end construction of this guy and how elevated he is in his chest floor. We like the muscularity and shape that this one drives down his top. He unfortunately doesn't maintain that advantage when you study from his hooks back and down to his hump. He needs to have more shape there. We need to relax him in his spine and maybe off both ends when we set this guy on the go, but really with a nice dynamic grip one there in second. Anyway, he's got us one in third here that we like that the width and the basic build of this one and the muscularity that she has down the top and out to her run. The biggest thing on this one is we just need to change the way her weight's distributed, change the way her underline matches up. We need to make her shallow under her chest floor and even her flank. And I think she's one I can get on board with. The darker pelted Huron coming out next is when we like her underline. We like the look she offers from the side. Quite frankly, this one needs to be more dynamic and more robust when we study her from her hooks back. We need to make her opened up in her skeleton and put more muscle shape on her, and I think we'd like her quite a bit better. As we get down here further in the class, we run into some that maybe have some structural problems as the Huron coming out there. We have some other issues maybe where they're not quite wide enough in their skeleton and they don't lay enough muscle on there. But a really good class. Why don't we give these kiddos a round of applause? feel like we're on a roll because this ULM here is, I talked the other one, the previous class winner up really hard and for the things he does well. And it's no joke, this one does the same things extremely, extremely well. Maybe not quite as just crazy massive as our last class winner, but this one's probably a notch more attractive. Like a lot of things about this one, like I said, the hard things to put together in terms of making them wrap their underline, really good looking from the side, flexible but aesthetically pleasing. When we set them in motion and load as much muscle on there as possible. Guys, this one's a really good one as well. This one's really, really good. Not to take anything away from the weather coming out next in class, this is one that we also appreciate for the added dimension this one has to his rib cage, how round he is. Quite frankly, it's just a tough draw, honestly. If we could make this one a notch squarer in his hip and hind leg and add a notch more muscularity to him, out to his rump, I think he's one that we could get on board with a notch more. Young man's brought us a UM here next that we also really like. We like to look this one off first from the side, and we like the muscularity she has from her belly to her groin. But really, this one, if we get critical on her, what we need to do is we need to put bigger in her pin set. We need to make her shallower and more relaxed in her play. And I think she's one that we'd like to much more if we could change those things. You know, he's got a darker pelted weather coming out next, really kind of a nuts and bolts shoot. Honestly, this is one that is really good skeleton, really good moving around the ring. For me, it's simply a matter of we just got to make him wider front to rear and put more muscle shape on him, but one that's got a good outline and one that gets around the ring really well as well. And then we've got 4 sheep here on the far end of the arena. Really the biggest things we need to change on these ones is most of them we need to make wider, and when you put more muscle shape on there, all well distributing weight the right way, shallower up front, more weight distributed in the back of their skeleton. But why don't we give this kid a round of applause?
We'd like to once again recognize our sponsors right along with our breeders that help support this show. JR Feeds, Dakota Land Feeds, Biozyme, Humbarger Show Feeds, Cody Miller Show Feeds, Nelson Feeds, First National Bank, and Spot On Printing.
The young man's got a weather here that really, like I've said in other classes, the structural integrity of this dude and really just the basic width of the ground and width up high and still wrapping some muscle on there. This one here is pretty good and gets around the ring really flexible and is still aesthetically pleasing on his joints on both ends of his skeleton. I think that one wins pretty handily. Young man's got a weather coming up next that we like the added width and dimension that this guy has. There's no doubt that he's wide between his front legs and has a lot of muscle running down his back and out through his rump. For me, it's really actually, when you study this guy kind of from a three-quarter angle, he actually truly does get a notch flatter in terms of his forearm. Needs to be tucked up in his sternum a notch more and a notch more genuine in the shape that he has to his rump. There's a lot of right muscle working in there, and I think if we could actually give him more real muscle shape out through his rump, I think he's one we like that notch more. The young man's brought us one here next that, again, we like the added shapeliness that this one has, contrasted to the one that's ahead of him. But on this guy, we just need to make him more expanded in his rib cage right now, in his blade, give him a notch more up to his skeleton, and still lay that muscle shape on there, and he's one that we could like a bit more as well. And then we run into 4 here in the balance of the class. These ones we just need to change the way they're made on both ends of their skeleton, free them up, make them more flexible, but still make them look better from the side and lay more muscle on their skeleton. But a really good class. Why don't we give these kids a round of applause? hope you four youngsters know that this is about as deep of a class as there's been all day in terms of quality sheep all the way through. And unfortunately, you know, these sheep honestly could have won some other classes here. And unfortunately, somebody's got to be first and somebody's got to be on the other end of the arena as well. That being said, the one we land on is the young lady's kind of blotching up weather, and this one really does so. I mean, he grows on you the more and more he's out here. There's no doubt, honestly, when I went through on my first handle, that this was honestly my favorite. His good skeleton when we set him in motion, really crisp and clean on his edges, really massive and shapely in all the right places, and really good movement. There's no doubt that this weather coming out next that the young man's got is awfully stout appearing and opened up. There's no doubt that he's that, because he is. He's wide and he's ultra bold in his cage and has a lot of width about him. This guy's got a lot of white muscle on him too. He's got quite a bit of bark, and that adds to his look. To be honest with you, when you study underneath that fat, I don't know if there's quite as much real true muscle shape and turn to his rack and as much shapeliness to his rump as maybe we see in the sheep that precedes him. But a really, really good one in his own right. And then quite frankly, really we run into two sheep here in third and fourth, two that honestly they just give up the added width and dimension, and especially when we talk about the way they're constructed through their chest and through their forerib. If we could expand them a notch more, I think they're ones that we'd like quite a bit more and lay more lean muscle shape down their back and out there to run. But a really good class. Why don't we give these kids a round of applause?
First goes to Brianna Larson with the Bergalco. Second, Brent Miller with an AWTR. Third, Zach Roser with the Fairleigh. And fourth, Kylie Bayer with the Miller. We will be currently bringing in all the first and second place class winners in the crossbow division for the selection of the champion reserve crossbow division. Following that, we will bring back all of the random reserves for Supreme overall selection.
will say the crossbred division definitely didn't disappoint, and I think we got quality all the way through on all these classes, even from my right all the way to my left. And I will say, as we got to about class 4, I think that the heat kind of turned up even a notch more. I think when we consider all these out here, they got really, really good at that point, and I think really those 5 class winners from the largest this way, I think, are the ones that really, they brought some really good ones to us. These young people have, and I think there's some that I like a notch more than others, and I feel like a broken record out here a lot of times, but I'm pretty sure that if you ask anybody out here what kind of sheep I like, they'll probably say a couple different things. They'll probably say that he likes them shallow, he likes them short-bladed, good-looking from the side, and as much muscle as you can put on there, all while being flexible and good structured. And I hope those are the things that you say. But I think there's some that do it out here to some degree better than others. But I really dig one of these a lot, and I think it gets closer because there's 2 or 3 I think for reserve that it gets quite a bit closer with. That being said, I'll go look these over one more time and then I'll start changing hands. While we're lining up the Supreme Drive, we would like to ask all the present born and bred members to come and make your way to the show ring if you would.
thought, what better way than to pool our money, have a free show, and have these kids come out, compete against each other, and really promote the 4-H sheep project. And boy, have they. Here's some stats over the last 20 years. $20,000 have been paid to the champions over the last 20 years. $10,000 in reserves. $10,000 to division champions and $5,000 to reserve division champions. And countless amounts have been given to class winners and placings all the way to the bottom. Tonight we had over 160 lambs, and I know those numbers will fluctuate from year to year, but these guys keep raising them, and these kids keep coming out. You can't thank these guys out here enough, so please put your hands together. Any of you guys want to say anything?
Fixes champion reserve. Let's give Ryan a big round of applause for coming to South Dakota and working for our sheep tonight. I think he's done a great job. So show our appreciation with a big clap. The other reason I wanted to grab the mic is Callie's up here all night talking, and she just gave a nice explanation of what's happened over 20 years since the great event. And more importantly, let's put our hands together for Callie. She's been running this for nearly 10 years. I can tell you it's an underappreciated job, but she does a great job and thank you for all the time and effort you put into it. So, thanks everybody for showing up. This is a great event for all the forward. Have a good night.
great champions and reserves out here, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm very happy with the animals we've got out here, and I think they represent at least what Ryan Warfleet likes really well, and that's what they do. And there's some really good ones out there, but at the same time, more importantly, we've got a really good group of young people out here. And I'm not gonna lie, this is impressive. This is something, being an outsider, being from a different state. I guess we've always admired, honestly, what you guys have been able to do for 20 years, and it's credit to the breeders that can band together and actually know how important this is. They see how important it is to have this available for young people. And it's not just for them to sell sheep, guys. That's not what it's about. I know a lot of those guys actually really well, and it's not about that to them. It's about helping young people and growing young people, and they're growing livestock, and you guys are as well. But it's about you guys. It's about you guys in the ring. It's about all the youngsters that have come through here, and those families have made a commitment that that's the way that they've raised a lot of their families, and that's the way they think it ought to be done, and it is done very effectively. So that being said, I guess I commend you guys for doing that. I commend you for pulling this off for 20 years, and I greatly appreciate the opportunity to come here and sort through some really high quality, high caliber sheep, and not only that, but some really, really good young people. And I do truly mean that, and you guys have a lot to be proud of. I thank you for the show staff, everybody that's helped me. I thank you for the invitation to come here. It's an honor and a privilege, and I greatly appreciate it. And this has been an awesome show, run really well. But most importantly, I guess you guys that are out in the ring, and you guys that have showed sheep earlier today and maybe weren't quite as fortunate enough to make it back here to the bitter end, please tell all those people that help you, your parents, your aunts and uncles, your grandmas and grandpas, just other special people that help you with this project. Please tell them thank you, because they put a lot into this, and they put a lot into your success, and I think it's good to thank them for that. But that being said, I think there's 2 out here, or 3, that I like really, really well. I'm only here to pick 2, and I'm kind of an open book, so I think you guys probably know which 2 I like really well. So I'm going to get this over and go shake some hands.
Reserve champion goes to the champion ham, Caleb Bratland, raised by Miller. Congratulations. If everyone will make their way to the backdrop, we will give you your awards, prizes, and money at the backdrop after your photo.